Oh, hi there. Welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aries energy. And I was holding my deck upside down, so the top row came upside down, but everything serves a purpose, so we're going to read it upside down. The top row can represent high vibe Aries energy. The bottom row can represent a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy. Within ourself, we have all the zodiac sign kind of traits and characteristics. Our loving, hopeful, believing nature, truthful, just, fair, act with character and integrity, and we have our more worldly, immature nature that would rather us not live our life like that. And then we have different people in our life. Some people want us to love and believe in ourselves, some other people don't, because we have different people who want to be in a relationship with us. And the people who might be more aligned with their more shadowy Aries energy, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are, if they're more motivated by themselves for the world or ego or image or indulgence, they want other people to be motivated by those things, though they'll stay in a relationship with them. And then other people have learned lessons in life and are more motivated and inspired by love. And they offer people love and encouragement to love and believe in themselves so they can stay and be in friendship and relationship with them. So, some people could be struggling within themselves right now. They might like to move forward in life differently, but life is about making these choices, and it could affect if we stay in a job, a friendship, or relationship, or keep kind of investing our time, energy, and effort into certain ways of thinking or believing or behaving. And all those things can be difficult, right? So some people could be struggling. Some people have definitely moved on in life differently. They're not the same person they used to be, having more hope and faith and belief in themselves. Some other people have definitely decided they don't plan to do life any differently, and they are more about themselves for the world or whatever they make their life about. And then there can be people who, are still going back and forth. can't decide what they want. So, and sometimes we get mismatched relationships. One person could be more balanced or stable or inspired or creative and loving, and the other person could try to present themselves as being that type of person, but really they're not. So, are we willing? The truth sets us free. If we're willing to see the truth when we could have been on the same page, but then as time goes by, we're not on the same page anymore. We have to get out of our ego, which is the bottom row, to be willing to deal with the truth. Where do I need to heal and grow and mature myself? Where do other people need to heal and grow and mature themselves? And then we can live our life differently because we're dealing with the truth. And we accept the truth. Shadowy Aries can be, I think I'm the boss. I should be able to change people. I think I can, control this. But there's all these hidden factors that influence people and why they do what they do. And sometimes we'll never be able to understand why some people do what they do because we just don't think like that and we can't relate to it, right? But in a general way we can, because we've all been there. We've all been more immature, fearful, insecure, defensive, petty, envious, jealous, lazy, didn't want to put in work and effort, didn't want to heal, didn't want to change. So to some degree we can understand it. Well, it'll be interesting just because the top row's all upside down, but the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups can be that we're sad, that some other people in our life didn't work with us cooperatively from love. And sometimes when we're in that energy, we can kind of be in our ego where I'm going to make someone love me. Or I'm going to make someone, because again, we can be in our ego because we're hurt. We don't have to try to get in the same relationship as some of the same people who hurt us. But sometimes we can be drawn and attracted to people who have some of those same traits and characteristics. Because it is kind of like being in our ego, like, I couldn't make that person, and the fives talk about change, I couldn't make that person change, but I bet with this new person who I maybe can be in a romantic relationship with, when they see how loving and nurturing and all this I am, I'm sure they'll change. And eventually it's kind of like, why do we keep trying to work with people who have already shown us that, they're kind of not on the same page? They don't really work together with us cooperatively from love. The Five of Cups is Scorpio energy. You know, we love people. We're emotionally complex human beings. We can have contradictory feelings towards the same person. I want to leave them. I don't ever want to see them again. And then, oh my God, I love them and I could never leave. And so, if we're more willing to let hope and faith and belief and love and stand up, love is to be just and fair. People are supposed to treat you the way they like to be treated. You're honest, you're authentic, you act with character and integrity, you get out of your ego and your more immature or self-centered or whatever immature ways of being. Are we willing to align with heading towards the light? Having hope and faith and belief that if we take action from love, but to stand up for truth and justice and deep, meaningful relationships, that other people have free will to change if they want to change, and if they don't, they don't. And we already know we're unhappy being in that relationship. So maybe if we had some more hope and faith and belief in ourselves, and from a place of love, offer people love, but I'm going to move forward aligned with maybe kind of offering myself that cup of love to get more balance within myself. Because if we offered a cup of love to the Five of Cups, we'd be at the Six of Cups, and the Sixes can talk about balance and also kind of reconciling myself with the past and what is. And we can be in relationships with people where they haven't dealt with their past pain and heartbreak or self-limiting beliefs. And until they work through those things, they're going to keep staying in a Five of Cups energy, more focused on the past and the relationships that didn't work out, or not offering themselves a cup of love. And if we've already kind of worked through those things and we're kind of ready to move forward in life differently, and we want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships, because Scorpio can be about that, and we could feel like some of the people we're in a relationship with harness a more shadowy Scorpio energy, where maybe they are not so much about love, but they're focused on the Three of Cups tipped over, which can be being emotionally manipulated by their fear, their insecurity, lust, greed, ego, image. And those things still more manipulate them than being focused on looking to the future in hope and faith and belief and love. And some of them are more emotionally shallow and superficial. And we just need to see the truth of it. After the Five of Cups, we have the King of Cups. The King of Cups holds that extra cup. And the Kings can talk about action that we take. Because it's considered masculine energy when we go take action in the world. And then people don't really know why we're doing what we're doing, because they don't know how we really think and feel, which is represented by the feminine figures. So this can be male or female. This can be male or female, but they are both men or masculine energies, which can mean that we're kind of in our ego a little bit. Because our more worldly egoic nature, when we go present ourselves in the world and everything, people don't really know how we think and feel. So it's considered a more masculine type energy, but it also can be that you're operating a little more from your ego. Are we kind of willing to get out of our ego to take action, to take that cup of love and offer love to ourselves and get more balance within ourselves? And then we have the Page of Wands. Are we willing to kind of offer love to our own inner child nature? We could have had people in our life that kind of abused our more hopeful, believing, loving inner child nature. Well, we can't always be looking for other people to love us. And that we could have been in more codependent energy where we looked outside of ourselves for people to love us. And we need to learn to love us. Be our own best, like mother, father, coach voice in our own head. And some people still haven't learned that, and they're still might get out of one relationship to go find someone else because the person they're in a relationship with isn't maybe loving and nurturing to them, but they still haven't done that work within themselves. And some of them, they could have regrets about the past, but male or female, they could operate more from their ego nature and kind of emotionally indulge their more immature nature. So in high vibe, the pages can mean that you have that hopeful, believing spirit. In shadow, it can be that you kind of indulge your more immature nature. Because in the tarot, it's like you have a suit of cards of all these different cards, of all these different traits and characteristics in your high vibe nature, but you've equally got your shadow nature, which is like, we like to view ourselves as like just and fair and loving, but we're really kind of indulge our more immature nature, you know? Well, I'm kind of curious about the top row. The reason for the top row's reading is the Five of Pentacles. And it's the reason why the reading came out. So the Five of Pentacles can be that, you know, we didn't want to detach from a foundation. Because in the Five of Pentacles, in a typical tarot deck, the Five of Pentacles is moving forward, meaning they detach from an old foundation. And there are going to be some people you could be in relationship with, had been in relationship with, want to be in relationship with, but you know that some of those people aren't willing to detach from a foundation, even if the people that they're working with, they could be a loving, encouraging person trying to encourage other people to love and believe in themselves, and they're still waiting for other people to change. This is the Five of Pentacles, this is the Five of Cups, and the fives can talk about change. You know, we can all get in relationships hoping other people will change, and that's when we kind of get out of our ego, and it's like, you know, I can only do so much. I can only offer people love and encouragement and truth and treat them in a just and fair manner. I can't make them do this work within themselves to heal from their past pain and heartbreak and love themselves. And then if I'm ready, because I maybe could have been in the same boat to some degree as they were, kind of viewed life the same way they did to some degree, had my own issues, they had their own issues, but I could have worked through my shadow nature of my fears and my insecurities, and during that process I could have realized that, you know, the bottom row can represent that we're repeating an old pattern. Why do we repeat certain patterns in our life? Well, for one, it's in our comfort zone, and we all like to stay in our comfort zone because it's scary to detach from our comfort zone and move forward in life differently. And also, in high vibe, the Five of Pentacles would be that you learn lessons in life, and you're not kind of the same person that you were before, and you look at life differently than you did. And, you know, we can all get in relationships with people because we were sad. We could all have gotten in relationships with people when we were in more codependent energy. We could all have been looking for someone else to love us because we hadn't learned to love ourselves. And as we go through the process, it's like, then we can get in relationships with people who are looking for someone who has that hopeful, believing spirit. And then they try to keep them in more shadowy energy, like, you keep trying to change me, be loving and encouraging to me, this works for me, let's keep doing this forever. And that's when some people could realize, wow, this is a pattern that I have. You know, it's not bad to be loving and encouraging to people, but do we get in a more emotionally invested kind of relationship with them when we kind of can see that we're not on the same page? And then because you put in work and effort to make a relationship work, it kind of keeps you stuck in it. And then we're sad. And the Five of Cups can mean that we feel like we're missing an opportunity to work with people who are more on the same page as us, who are more looking to the future, have that more hopeful, believing spirit, and we're staying in a relationship trying to change other people. Why don't I go work with people who are already kind of more on the same page as me? And some of you already did that. Some people right now are debating it. Some of those people aren't going to leave the job, the friendship, or the relationship they're in because they're not ready to leave it. And they may never be ready to leave it. And until they work through this within themselves to kind of love and believe in themselves, and the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy that has to do with our philosophy of life. And some people, their philosophy of life is, well, that's not how I view life. I'm not supposed to learn to love and believe in myself. I'm supposed to get in relationships with people. They're supposed to love me. And as long as that is their philosophy of life, that's not like their job, they're not supposed to have to learn to put in work and effort to love and grow and heal and mature themselves. I get in a relationship for those things, or I drink, or I do drugs, or I go have sex with people. That's the answer. We either see the truth or we don't. Some people keep repeating patterns that keep leaving them in regret. Other people, like you and me, did that too. And then was like, why do I keep repeating this pattern? This isn't working. Ding, 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 ding. I've had a light bulb moment. I need to change my philosophy of life and how I'm going about things. I don't want to keep moving forward like that. I'm done moving forward like that. And I am going to do this work within myself to love and believe in myself. I don't want to repeat this pattern. And so that's also kind of like, I'm not going to keep moving forward in something I was moving forward. And then some of the people see that we're not willing to keep moving forward the way we had been moving forward. And then they have to decide for themselves. Am I willing to do that work within myself? Because, Taurus energy is earth sign energy about putting in work and effort to get out of our ego, to quit indulging our more self-indulgent nature, our more immature nature. Some people have a philosophy of life that nothing ever works out for me. I'm always left sad. But it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They will not work cooperatively with others. They will not put in work and effort. And then the relationship kind of blows up and it's like, yep, see, nothing ever really works out for me. Other people always want to go get in a relationship with someone else. It's because you have these issues that you don't deal with, that you don't want to see the truth of. You keep not putting maybe work and effort, or acting with character and integrity, or, High Vibe Taurus also is about acting with character and integrity. And some people also are kind of immature, like, well, no, things don't work out for me, so I want to wear my false mask that I'm a loving person. And then loving, creative, inspired people are supposed to want to be in a relationship with me because I wore my false mask. That can be like operating from your ego. And they're supposed to want to be in a relationship with me. It's like, but either they never want, the relationship never like matures and grows itself, or they don't want to get in a more formal commitment, or they never kind of maybe get out of a lack mentality, or poor pitiful me. Because when a card is in reverse, it can mean extremes, and the Five of Pentacles in the upright can mean that people kind of have a lack mentality. Some people really got a lack mentality. And some people have a mentality that I shouldn't have to put in work and effort. If I present myself as loving to them and I act loving to them, and when we go out in the world, I act loving to them, they should want to stay in a relationship. Isn't that what people want? How different is it to be in a relationship with someone who's actually authentically motivated and inspired by love versus to be in a relationship with someone who is trying to create an illusion that they're loving? You know, the spark of like authenticity and creativity and hope and faith aren't really there. So let's go back up to the top row. The Seven of Swords in reverse, Knight of Swords, King of Wands, Four of Wands, and the Wheel of Fortune. Let's look at these. If they had been upright, kind of in the bottom row, we could have been caught up in the world, caught up in a dream, didn't want to see the truth. We were defensive. To moving forward in life differently, from the 7 to the 1, is the 6 of Swords, about believing in our dreams. We maybe didn't really believe in our dreams, and then someone came along and said, you should be in a relationship with me. Your dreams will come into reality. And in the King of Wands, which I view as Aries energy, we could have viewed them as someone who was more maybe mature or inspiring, or seemed to know more than we did, seemed to be a good leader in the world. And in the Four of Wands, it's coming together with others in joy and celebration, and that maybe a dream is going to come into reality, because from the King is holding one wand, and then we have the Four of Wands. In between there is the Three of Wands, which is, I have a dream. I'm taking action to try to bring a dream into reality. And this seems to be someone I can bring that dream into reality. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. And this is a feminine figure, so we think and feel, and she looks pregnant, that we're on the right path, that the Wheel of Fate is going to turn in our favor. But then, what we really could have found out, what was going on, was we have the World, the Eight of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, the Two of Wands, the Devil, the Four of Cups, the Six of Swords, and the Ten of Swords. Well, we could have all been caught up in the world. With the Seven of Swords up above the World card, the Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy, represented by the Star card. I have a dream. Oh my gosh, all my dreams that I had in the world are going to come into reality. And we could have just been more caught up in the world. I think for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're pretty fired up in our fire sign energy, and in our philosophy of life. We're pretty big on the world for the first 30, 40 years of our life. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, there's all these things in the world that I want, and that I think will be fun, and that I want to go indulge in, and that I want to make my life about, and the world tells me if I make my life about all those things and I do all those things, I'll be happy. And in the Eight of Pentacles, you know, we want to move forward. We want to manifest our dream into reality. We want to work with other people. We might want to have a job, use our talent, skills, and interests to bring our dream into reality, invest time, energy, and effort. And the world tells us, shadowy kind of Virgo energy that the world tries to get us all caught up in, is you should want to be a King of Pentacles, male or female. You should want to have these things of the world. If you have these things of the world, you'll be happy. Plus, the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only marrieds through the deck. You should get in relationships and you should get married. And if you do that, you'll be happy. But why would we, you know, we can get in certain jobs, friendships, relationships, or marriages, maybe out of codependency. looking for someone to love us. And they could have gotten in a relationship with us because they were looking for someone to love them. Or we could have gotten in a relationship. We could have been a more loving, nurturing, hopeful, believing person, and they were a little more worldly focused. And it would be good for their ego and their image, and they get to be in a relationship, and you get to be in a relationship, and everybody's going to be happy. Except that what drives and motivates us could be different. One person can be more motivated and inspired by love, and the other person's kind of more, that this works. It's good for the ego and the image, and I might not want to do love because I don't believe in love, and I get hurt doing love. I like to operate from my ego and let my ego run my life, and I don't really authentically invest in people. And then we have the Knight of Cups, which can be being caught up in the illusion of the world. And if I do these certain things and indulge in these certain things, I'll be happy. Two of Wands, I'm going to put in work and effort into this idea that I have been told that if I make that my dream, I'll be happy. In my Two of Wands Aries energy, that's what I'm going to do. And the Devil can just represent all these things of the world that drive and motivate us. Lust, pride, ego, money, status, image, indulgence. If I make my life about those things, I'll be happy. The only thing is, the devil lies. The devil wants us to think, if you do make your life all about those things, you'll be happy. Don't listen to your creative, inspired nature. Don't have hope and faith and belief in your dreams. Don't give birth to anything new. At the big picture, high vibe energy is represented by God. You don't have to be religious. It's just a way to describe it. We live in a world of duality. I believe in God, and I think God wants to give birth to new things. God's creative and inspired and loving, and let's not keep doing the same thing over and over. Let's learn some lessons in life, see what works, see what doesn't, let go of the things that don't, get out of our ego, have some hope and faith and belief, to be willing to move forward in life differently. You have your own unique skills and talents that you've been given. You've been given your imagination and your creativity and your intuition. Don't let the devil stop you. Don't let your own shadow nature stop you. Don't let other people in shadowy energy stop you. They want you to keep doing this because it works for them. But are you someone who wants to give birth to something new? The Four of Cups comes after the Three of Cups, which can be being emotionally manipulated more by our worldly nature. And typically in the Four of Cups, it's like the divine handing us a cup of love to say there's more to this world than making your life so much about these things of the world. You do live in the world. Needless, you want stability and security, and this whole world was made for you to enjoy it. But if you give it too much power, it can steal your life away. It can cloud your judgment. You can start to think that those things that you look to make you happy, kind of like you make them a god in your life. I need to drink more. I need to eat more. I need to take more drugs. I need to have more status, more power, more money. That you look to those things to be the answer. And as some people went and did that, indulged in those things or made their life about certain things. In the Four of Cups, it can talk about that you feel like you missed an opportunity in love, and I could feel kind of emotionally manipulated. And I feel like there's more to this world. I had a dream in the Six of Swords. And the boat sitting on the water, and the water in tarot can talk about the emotionally intuitive realm. But it's kind of interesting in this Six of Swords, you maybe can't see it, but there's all these swords sticking out. It kind of reminds me of sharks in the water, right? And the whole thing is when we have gotten in a job, a friendship, a relationship, we'd really like those things to work out because we do have fear about not investing in that. The Four of Cups can talk about kind of letting something be a missed opportunity to take that cup of love and believe in your dreams and close out a cycle. And from the Six of Swords to the Ten of Swords, in between there is the Four of Swords. What we used to think the Four of Swords is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice, and probably what our truth was at one given point in time in our life, because that's how we viewed the world and how we felt about ourselves, our emotional maturity, all those things. It kind of was our truth at that time, right? But as we went and pursued those things, then it's like, and again, we come in contact with all these different people and have all these different life experiences. We're all in a process of becoming. What is my truth? What's their truth? My truth at 15 was different than it was at age 18, and it was different again at age 21 and 25 and 35 and 45. We don't stay the same. And that's kind of what the bottom row, like the devil, which is also kind of represented by death, but in high vibe, the death card's about transformation. We're able to give birth to a new us if we're willing to put an end to the old us. Like my nesting dolls, we shed an old layer of ourselves and we give birth to a new us. But we have to let go of that old philosophy of life, that old job, that old friendship, that old relationship. If we see that something about it isn't aligned with our truth, in a typical tarot deck, the devil card looks just kind of like the lover's card, but it's kind of shadowy, and the people have chains around their necks. It's all these things that limit us, restrict us, confine us, oppress us, and maybe aren't really working with us cooperatively from love to and in truth. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. Something about it was causing us some mental conflict. And there could have come a time that with some people in our life, we could have realized that they might not have the same dream I have. They might not be inspired to want to move forward in life differently, but high vibe energy is about being independent. Well, I'm my own individual and I have my own dreams and I have my own things that I like to invest in and that I find emotionally fulfilling. They can be different than what they find enjoyable. But can't we respect each other as individuals? Well, some people don't like that in the devil card. It's like, no, you are not supposed to live your life any differently than we live our life. Get back here and do your life like we do it. Because if you were to move forward in life differently and have more hope and faith and belief, to not let, the devil talks about all these things that can manipulate people. Well, some of those things don't manipulate me anymore. And I kind of work through my mental conflict. I could have put in the Virgo energy, can talk about doing some inner work, maybe even to heal, because the World card can also talk about closing out a cycle. I could have closed out a cycle, something could have gone on in my life, and I was sad. And I was sad that it ended, and I'm sad those people didn't work with me cooperatively, but I was, because I kind of love myself, and I don't want to stay sad, I offered love to myself. I wasn't ready to maybe move forward, maybe and have a new beginning in something. But I was inspired to do this inner work within myself, to offer love to it. High vibe people are kind of enlightened to the truth that love is the answer. So if I'm in the Five of Cups, because it's also the reason why the bottom row's reading came out, I offered love to it. And again, the 5 plus the 1 gets us to the 6. And the 6s can be just where we get more balance within ourselves, so we're not kind of tipped and out of balance, up in our head, up in our fear, up in our sadness. To kind of inspire ourselves to not let people who weren't maybe just or fair or loving, or worse, people could have been bossy or controlling or abusive or manipulative or whatever. I'm not, it has maybe been stopping me from having a new beginning and having my dreams come into reality, and it's kind of backstabbing me. So from the 6 to the 10, I need to take back the 4 swords. I have seen that there's some people in my life that I could have offered love and encouragement to work together with them, and they weren't willing to do that, and the cycle closed out. The job ended, the friendship ended, the relationship ended. Well, I'm not going to stay stuck in sadness because I can't heal a relationship with them. I can heal me. And I maybe can't change them, but I can change me. And so I'm going to offer myself love to go within to get to the truth. And I have to deal with the truth. I have to deal with the truth about me, and I have to deal with the truth about them. And I have to see where I needed to heal and grow and mature myself, how I could have been could have been an energy or shadowy energy. I need to see the truth that they were in more shadowy energy, or did we just have different dreams? And as we were working together in a relationship, you know, the devil can mean that people were attracted to each other, but maybe we just weren't in the right relationship. And if one person feels they're not in the right relationship and the other person does, you know, that's a problem. But our dream can only come into reality with people who are on the same page as us at the same time. And some of those people do have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. Some of those people are more about themselves. Some of them are more about working with the world and making their life more about the world. That's still more what drives and motivates them, or being more about themselves. And maybe they're not inspired to take that cup of love, to even look at life any differently. Their philosophy of life in their Taurus energy of self is, I'm kind of more about the world. I have free will. I have my dualistic nature. That's my truth. And the other people were like, well, that's not my truth. And kind of how we wanted to move forward was different. Our truth was different. Our idea of the dream life and how we wanted to move forward and what drove and motivated us was different. So high vibe people do this work within themselves to free themselves from letting it continue to manipulate them. I offer love to it to let it go. I accept they're at where they're at. They view life the way they view it. They're motivated and inspired by what they're motivated and inspired by. And I have to love and believe in myself and believe in my dreams. And I might have some fear about giving back into the water. But the whole thing is, we learned some valuable life lessons from this experience. We could have been quite maybe naive and gullible. And when other people presented themselves as loving, we thought everybody was motivated and inspired by love. So we went and got in a relationship with them. But we didn't know that they were kind of hiding behind their back. I have these issues from my past I haven't dealt with. Or I don't want to move forward in love. I don't trust love. I don't believe in love. I've had other people and relationships that didn't work out, and I might have hurt other people, and maybe I'm kind of immature, kind of indulge my more immature nature. And we needed to learn that not everybody's motivated and inspired by love, even if they present themselves as loving. I'm a loving family person. I'm a loving family man. I'm act with character and integrity. I'm inspired and, you know, whatever. And I'm stable, I'm grounded, I'm all these things. And then male or female, and you find out that's not the truth of who they are. They haven't healed. Or their idea of what is just and fair is just different than my idea of what's just and fair. And we all live our life at these different ways of viewing life because we think it's just and fair. Well, we might have already lived our life more caught up in the world, and maybe we indulged in more things at one point in time in our life than some of these people, and they haven't healed or seen the truth about how some of those things kind of get a stranglehold on you, and they're going to have to go learn their own lessons. And we can have friends and family members and adult children that everybody's got to learn lessons the hard way, and just like we did. And we could be sad. We wish they were maybe moving forward with us in a more just and fair manner, loving manner or something. But if that's not where they're at, that's not where they're at. If we're on different pages, we're on different pages, blah, blah. We kind of see that with some people, if it would be to want to heal a relationship, with some of those people, maybe because of their pride and ego, which is what the devil talks about. They're maybe too prideful and egotistical. No. If you didn't keep staying in a friendship or relationship with me, I'm done with you. It's over. It's like, okay. Well, I think they'll have some karmic consequences for that, because love is willing to forgive people. Does it mean you have to get back in a more involved friendship or romantic relationship with them? No. But we can offer people peace and love and keep moving forward. And some people that we would like to be in a relationship could want to be in a relationship with us too, but then they backstab someone else. And if this could be their shadow energy, like, dang, I'd like to come get in a relationship with you. I'm glad you got out of whatever you got involved in. But when we maybe weren't in a relationship with them, they could have gotten in a relationship with someone else, and then they'd have to backstab someone else or hurt someone else. Some of those people could be struggling within themselves right now. Will I be sad if I move? And we had like a little mini tower moment here with the deck flipping. And then sometimes it does cause people all this mental conflict, because kind of in the Two of Wands, we can be pulled in two directions. Is this my truth? Isn't this my truth? If I move forward with these people, do I think that person lives more from their mind than their heart? Do I think that person is being authentic? Do I think that person's immature? Am I being authentic? Am I being more immature? Am I more caught up in the world? Are they? It's this whole thing of, why do I do what I do? Why are the people I'm in a relationship with kind of, do I think, do what they do? Am I willing to deal with the truth? And there's some people who you could want to be in a relationship with that aren't going to move forward with you. Could they be tempted in their worldly nature? But they could have some people in their life who have been taking action from love, are hopeful and believing and creative and inspired, and you might be too. Well, why would you get out of a relationship with someone who's in that energy to get in a relationship with someone else who's in that energy, The only reason it more could be a problem is if there's been something negative going on in that workplace, friendship, or relationship, and they kind of feel like they also are missing an opportunity in love. But then they got to work through their fears about high vibe energy is living your truth, being independent, speaking your truth. And it would have to decide, if everybody has to decide, I can only heal a relationship with people who are willing to work with me. If there's people who aren't even in a relationship with me, I need to work through that regret and get out of feeling left out in the cold and have some hope and faith and belief in my dreams and let what's over be over. And when I've done this healing work within myself, there's other people in the world that have that hopeful, believing spirit, and those are the type of people we're looking to get in a relationship with, who are more emotionally mature, are free to get in a relationship with, and we go out there getting to know people. The Page of Wands is like those simple gestures to people to get to know people, just like friends, you know, from a place of love. Let love and your creative, inspired, intuitive nature guide you. And some people are in relationships, they're ready to do that. Some of the people in their life are like, no, let's keep doing this. Let's keep doing this. And maybe an Aries in a relationship with them is like frustrated. It's just such a struggle, right? Because it's like they could have love for those people, whoever they are, friends, family, romantic interest, and they really wanted those people to move forward with them and have that, go on the journey with them. But some of those people are like, no. And some of those people are like, if you go and live your life differently than we're living our life, we're not going to invest in you anymore. And they know their, shadowy energy could be competitive and stubborn. And it's like, those people just refuse to see the truth or heal or be more just and fair. And when are we going to stand up for ourselves that, I'm sure none of us are 18 anymore. Well, there might have been at one time I used to be more codependent on people, but eventually it starts to make us mad that why are not people loving and encouraging me to be more independent and believe in my dreams? And sometimes you got to wonder if those people want you to get justice or feel more balance within yourself. And they might not if that's not how they live their life. Well, we stay tipped out of balance. We indulge people. We make our life about these things, or we only get in relationships with people who are willing to indulge us in our more immature or prideful or bossy ways of being. And if you go live the life of your dreams, then it'll bother us. And then we'll start to wonder why we stay in the relationships we're staying in. Why don't we love and believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams? And why don't we get out of some of these jobs and friendships and relationships? And it causes those people all this struggle. And then the answer is, I don't want to deal with this. I want it all to go away. With all these cards in reverse up here, I'm just going to try to stop other people from moving forward in a way that I don't like, that will cause me inner conflict. And I'm going to try to do whatever I can to manipulate and control them so they don't do it. So if you're not in high vibe energy and you're not being truthful and honest and authentic and loving and working cooperatively with people, shadowy people who aren't shadowy Aries, and the devil is Capricorn energy, but anybody can harness these energies. I try to manipulate and control people to get them to do what I want. I might ignore their love. I know they want a dream to come into reality. I'm going to backstab them. I'm going to hurt them. I am going to make them sad. And they might offer themselves some love for a while, but I think they love me, and I'm going to use the love that they have for me to manipulate them. And I'm sure they won't go have that new beginning. They might leave for a while, but I think they'll come back, because we kind of, and that's toxic love, right? And that's what the devil's about. I'm going to try to use the love. And sometimes, it's kind of like a 2-for-1. If the devil can't stop high vibe people from loving and believing in themselves and make them get caught up in some things of the world, then guess who the devil's going after? the devil's going to go after someone else in the high vibe person's life. And if they can get them to be caught up in their head and their fear and their insecurity or their lust or their greed or their pride or their ego, and you'll be sad, then they got this person kind of caught in a trap. And then they get you caught in a trap too. Well, high vibe energy is being a leader in the world, and high vibe Aries is being a good leader and making good decisions in your own life and being a good leader in the world and learning all these lessons. Aries is represented by the Emperor, which is having learned all these lessons in all 4 suits of the deck: the heart, the mind, the 3D world, the creative, passionate nature, and intuitive, loving nature. If I see that people got tempted to act in an unjust, unfair, unloving, selfish, greedy, prideful, lustful, whatever nature, I can be sad. But I also do this work within myself to see the truth that it helped illuminate a truth that I wasn't wanting to see in the 7 of Swords. I might have felt like someone kind of was shallow or superficial or whatever, but I didn't want to see the truth because I didn't want to leave. And that, high vibe energy, the energy of creative, inspired, loving energy, doesn't like people to live in denial of the truth and in illusion. And if the divine knows that you're kind of in a more mismatched relationship, but you didn't want to see the truth of it, well, someone will come in or someone will be tempted by something to get them to reveal their truth, that they are not willing to move forward to bring a dream into reality, and that you're not on the same page. And so there it was, really just trying to help illuminate you to a truth that you weren't seeing to begin with. And that if we want the justice we deserve in the world, we need to get out of our more codependent energy, work through our pain and sadness and heartbreak. And that if people were hurtful and unkind and backstabbing and immature and selfish and greedy and lustful, okay. And I could have been shocked because I did think that they harness like high vibe Taurus energy, where I thought they were someone who acted with character and integrity. And wow, was I surprised to find out that they weren't who I thought they were. So sometimes when something like that happens, people realize, I don't want to keep moving forward with this because I might not have wanted to see the truth before, and I was in a relationship with someone who wasn't acting with character and integrity. And then I did see the truth, and I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I am no longer up in my head about it. I am no longer deceived about the truth. This is no longer aligned with my truth. I no longer think this is just and fair. I am no longer willing to defend this. King of Wands, I'm no longer inspired and attracted to this anymore. And I am no longer going to take action towards it. This is not a foundation that I want to be a part of. Because I don't think that these people, they're never going to give birth to anything new. Because they have these things that manipulate them, and they're not really being authentic and operating from love. And love is how you go with the flow of life, in your natural being of working through your fears and your insecurities and healing and growing. And if we keep indulging our more immature nature, we keep repeating an old pattern. I don't want to keep repeating that pattern. I'm not going to move forward in that direction anymore. So, high vibe people work through something painful that happened in their life. And the thing is, also the way I view cards when they're in reverse, when we had to do this work within ourselves to quit being more motivated and inspired and aligned with our more worldly view of life and wanting to be in relationships with people, you know, where we were both kind of more motivated more by these things of the world. Well, for one, we felt sad and we realized this isn't what everybody made it cracked up to be. You know, I thought, again, it's just like if somebody like, oh my gosh, I should start drinking and I should maybe just keep drinking more. And oh my gosh, I'm going to have such a great life and I'm going to be the life of the party and I'm going to have so much fun. And, you know, then you end up with a drinking problem and it causes all this chaos in your life. And, you know, and then it's like, shit, that did not work out the way I wanted. And then it's kind of to work through, is that still my truth? Am I going to keep whatever is my coping mechanism or my default or an old pattern? If I see the truth that isn't working out the way I wanted, I have to offer myself love, look at life from a higher perspective, put things in perspective, keep things in perspective so I don't backstab myself. And because if I get caught up in more shadowy energy or whatever, there's always people who would love to be in a relationship with me, but they don't probably want me to heal and grow and mature myself and believe in myself because they want me to keep doing this. So I need to quit getting in relationships with people who their truth, and the Ten of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature. If their truth is different than my truth, my dreams can't come into reality with them anyway. And I'm done trying to change people. I am looking for people who seem to have learned to love themselves, that are more authentic and loving and creative and inspired and not so consumed with these things of the world that they're kind of tipped out of balance. Because love is about balance. I live in the world. I want to enjoy things of the world. I want to be in a relationship with people, but not to the extent where I have to give up my dreams, where I have to wear a false mask, where I'm settling for an illusion, where I'm dealing with immature people. I want to be in relationships with people who've learned some of the same lessons I've learned, so we can have a just and fair and balanced and loving relationship where I can let my more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play because they are a loving person. And I'm not worried about them hurting me or taking the love that I have for them to manipulate me. And I, in turn, want to be that type of person to them. And some of the people are going to see some high vibe people do that. And they're kind of going to be sad that when they had the opportunity to act with character and integrity and love and have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others in love, that they could have done that, but they have some unresolved issues from their past, so they kind of backstabbed themselves and the relationship. And they could be sad, but because they still have some lessons to learn, they're probably going to go repeat an old pattern and continue to indulge in these things of the world, make their life more about themselves, go look for someone else that got out of a relationship that's sad, present themselves again as someone who's willing to bring a dream into reality, until that person realizes they're not really bringing a dream into reality based on love and that they're not really who they say they are or have these unresolved issues that they haven't dealt with. And then that person, and some of them could be experiencing it again in a new relationship, you know? And then the people who might stay in a relationship with them might be people who kind of also gave up on love or believing in themselves, believing in their dreams. who are happy they're in this energy, and boy, they want them to stay in that energy because they want to stay in that energy, and they want these things and to have this stay in this relationship, and let's both stay in our shadowy energy because neither one of us really wants to do love and be more authentic maybe in the world. And I think as high vibe people are moving forward in this more high vibrational energy, not being deceptive and manipulative, not being defensive, not using their charm or their looks or whatever to try to manipulate people, maybe aren't getting in a relationship with someone just because a different relationship didn't work out. Not willing to move forward and get in a new relationship until they've done this work within themselves. And this could be saying that some people are done with doing this healing work. And they're ready to go out there in the world and don't want to be in relationships with people who harness these energies in a more shadowy way. Let's go see what's coming up. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming? And also, with the cards in reverse, it can also mean the opposite of what they could mean. You're not up in your head and you're not deceived and manipulated by some people. At one time you could have been. It's natural. If people who you thought were just and fair and authentic and loving people and they turned out not to be those types of people, some of them, yeah, it did kind of have you up in your head and you were confused about the truth. Not anymore. At one time, you were maybe quite defensive and angry. Justifiably so. People acted in a shadowy way. The devil can be like, in a way, like your shadow nature came out. To stand up for yourself. This is wrong, You're no longer, you've worked through being defensive. The King of Wands, the King of Wands and the Four of Wands, I would say, you're not looking to get in a relationship with someone just to get in a relationship. And a way of moving forward that you had been moving forward in, and a way of viewing life and a way of viewing relationships, you don't view it that way anymore. You are the Ten of Swords. When you complete the Ten of Swords, you come out with the Ace of Swords. You aren't the same person that you were before. And the Page of Wands, maybe we could kind of look at that as like an Ace of Wands. The 8, is it the 8 and the 9 and the 10 of Wands. You move forward in something, you were inspired, you were defending it, and then you thought things were going to move forward a certain way, and it wasn't, and people were kind of being defensive, you were feeling wounded, and again, it was all this mental conflict and inner conflict and trying to work through and wrap your brain around this game of life, and you did, and you completed that cycle, and you're no longer overwhelmed. And you're having this new beginning. And while you're off having this new beginning in truth and love and inspired to go back out there based on the lessons that you've learned in life, not as naive and gullible, not going to try to change anyone anymore. When people show you they're immature, they're shadowy, they're bossy, they're prideful, they're egotistical, they're backstabbing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yep, I might have to work with you, but I'm going to spend as little time as possible with you. If I have to work with you, say at a job, or see you out in the community, the people who I definitely know are more shadowy, and I've learned to maybe also listen to my intuition, which I also view as our more creative, inspired nature. Because in our Aries energy of self, we think, oh no, I'm the boss and this will all work out the way I want it to work out. And, we maybe weren't listening to our intuition, and we kind of needed to invest more in listening to our intuition and our more loving, intuitive nature. I view the King of Cups as Cancer energy. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming? Okay. Well, we have the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Two of Wands, the Six of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, and the Six of Cups. And the reason for this coming out is because of the Ten of Cups. So the Ten of Cups can be aligning with your more hopeful, believing, loving nature, believing in your dreams. Pisces energy and Pisces energy, and Virgo energy. And the Page of Wands represents Aries and Leo and Sagittarius. Help us kind of transition out of things that you decided to choose love and to walk the talk that you profess to believe. I have a dream. I am going to look to the future. And some of the other people in my life harness these energies in a more shadowy way, where they were kind of, I don't know, either happy in another relationship, which then I wish you peace. I make peace with that. Or you kind of are bossy or controlling or more stubborn or materialistic than I realized, or more codependent and defend a different foundation, which if they were married and you're just friends, that makes sense too. But sometimes some people want to get in relationships and marry them, but they're still defending an old foundation that they have a primary loyalty to. And if those people in their life, their friends or family or whatever, are like, I don't like this thing and I don't think you should move forward with it, or I don't like that person, they're more codependent on those people. So it's like, well, enjoy your life. But I have a dream, and apparently our dream is different. And I am going to maintain balance within myself, keep aligning with my hopeful, believing nature, staying in a place of peace, and I've reconciled myself with the past. It is what it is. People are where they're at. Everybody has their philosophy of life. I'm going to go take action based on my philosophy of life with people in the world who I think are more on the same page as me, are more balanced within themselves, more stable within themselves, are who they say they are, have reconciled themselves with issues from their past, are motivated and inspired by truth and love. And the people that are on that same page as me, I'll work together with them. And if I communicate with some of those people and some of those people are like, sorry, I'm in this situation, or I'm already got other loyalties or priorities, okay, I'm not going to stay up in my head about it. I have a dream, and I believe the divine's going to work with me to get that dream to come into reality. If they're not on the same page or available to be in a relationship for whatever reason, okay. I keep reconciling myself with what is. That is the truth. I have to accept what is. I can stay sad. I can be in my pride and ego. And that's what some people are doing too. They have other people that would like to be in a relationship. We could have other people wanting to be in a relationship with us. But because some people haven't worked through something that didn't work out, and they're still hoping that relationship will work out, they're not committing and working together with the people in their life that are in that same energy with them. And that's why if some people, we weren't on the same page, you went and got in a different relationship, they got in a different relationship, high vibe people put in work and effort to commit and focus on that relationship and want to stay loyal to that relationship. But if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. And that's when people could look to getting back in touch with people. The Six of Cups can talk about reconciling with people from your past, but it's also just Scorpio energy. I want to be in a relationship with people where I can be authentically myself in the world and I don't have people being immature or controlling or hurtful or unkind. So some of the people in your life, from your past, from your present, in your future, are going to be people who are on the same page as us. But we need to deal with the truth that some people right now aren't. And, you know, if you've ever gotten yourself tangled up in some things, you know how hard it is to get out of it. And some people might not ever get out of a way of thinking, a way of feeling, a way of viewing life, their own lack mentality, indulging themselves, indulging other people, you know. We have to keep taking action in our truth, and we trust that the divine has a plan for our life, and it's not to stay sad watching other people go be immature or go be happy. We do this work within ourselves so we can go take action to manifest that dream into reality. And I think as you do that, other people see you doing that. Other people see you not acting in these more immature ways. And there's other people that are like, wow. And then they'd have to do this work within themselves. Like, why do I do what I do? Why am I hanging out with people I'm hanging out with? Why am I in the relationships I'm in? And if they decide, you know, this is more aligned with my truth, then they have to be willing to take action on that truth. There's going to be some people that are just going to watch you kind of too much defending their more egoic nature to take action. It's like, well, I believe I'm going to meet other people in the world who kind of could have people in the same boat as me. They could have people they just are too prideful to admit that I made a mistake, that I was a fallible human being, I was immature. High vibe people got out of their ego. That's why they're willing to communicate with people the truth. I had lessons learned. I healed and grew and matured. I viewed life a certain way. I don't view life that any way anymore. And some of the people then that you communicate that with, it could be a challenge for them because they viewed you maybe a certain way or didn't think you loved them. And you could have loved people too, but you didn't move forward with them, or you had your own issues you were dealing with, you know? And then some of those people, they'll see that truth, and it's like, I do want to be friends with you again, or interact with you again, or maybe see if this relationship could work out, you know? If you want to be in a relationship with more high vibe, mature people, be a more high vibe, mature person. There's some shadowy people in the world who just think, I can just present myself as being that type of person. I'm sure it'll work out fine. And it keeps not working out fine. That they refuse to see the truth. So they keep doing the same thing over and over and over. What's coming up for some people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Aries energy that they might not see coming up? So yeah, this could say that some people in your community, in your family, in your soul family, some of those people are mature, stable, grounded, have been looking for someone like you have been looking for someone like them, and they will take action. This is a masculine card, so talk about taking action, male or female, to communicate with people. I would like to exchange resources with you. I think I would be happy to work with you or hire you for a job or work with you more at a job or in the community or in a friendship group or in a romantic relationship to get to know you better. And I think anybody who's went through these life experiences, everybody can be happy to get to know people, but I just think people will just really get to know each other because people have been in relationships with people who weren't who they said they were. And they don't want to repeat that old pattern and get more emotionally invested in someone who's more immature than they realized. So take your time, get to know each other. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy Aries? Okay. The Strength card, the Five of Pentacles, the Star card, the Strength card again, and the Seven of Wands. A lot of Leo, 3 cards of Leo energy, and the reason it came out is because of the Seven of Swords, 2 Aquarius cards, and then we have the 1 Taurus card about people's philosophies of life. You know, we all have a dream. We're either tempering our ego and being authentic and motivated and inspired by love to bring that dream into reality, and more worldly, shadowy people who harness these energies in a more shadowy way. Well, I feel left out in the cold. I want to be in a relationship with someone who's loving and nurturing and warm, but I'm not really that kind of person. But I might try to create the illusion I am. I kind of operate from my ego. I'm kind of stubborn. I'm kind of live more from my mind than my heart. But I'll try to create the illusion, being deceptive and manipulative, to try to manipulate more loving, stable, grounded, authentic, loving people to try to get them to stay in a relationship with me, because then it makes me look like I'm that type of person when they're really not. And it'd be great to be in a relationship with someone like that, because I don't maybe like being in relationships with people who are like me, because they're kind of deceptive and bossy and controlling and manipulative and defensive or egotistical and self-centered or more materialistically motivated. But they're always going to have more high-vibe people in their life, and they keep not wanting to be authentic with them, being deceptive and manipulative. And eventually the high-vibe people, you know, they've wanted to move it forward, but eventually they have to temper their own ego and say no more. My intuition is telling me my dream can't come into reality here because you seem to be defensive to telling the truth, being more authentic, being more loving, more about yourself, more about ego or image or money, I think is what drives you, instead of love. And they are going to watch some more high vibe people leave their life, because they can't stop other people from listening to their intuition. And if they keep not wanting to see the truth and get out of their ego, or they're being full of themselves, or being so caught up in the world and these things of the world that they make so important, eventually they might end up in a relationship with someone who's like themselves, who's willing to defend staying in a relationship with them because it works for them. It's good for their ego and their image and their status, makes them look like they've healed and they've moved on and they look victorious and successful. It's just that it's all kind of manufactured. It's not really motivated and inspired by love. If you're 7 swords up in your head and there's a maximum of 10, at 7 swords up in their head, they could both be using their emotions more manipulatively in order to get what they want. I'm defensive of change. I'm defensive of believing in myself. I'm really motivated to stay in a relationship because of the ego and the image. And the other person's like, me too. Okay. And they could both know they're kind of being deceptive and manipulative. If they see someone else who might have more status, more image, more money, more materialism, more social clout, more attractive, whatever it is that kind of makes them think they got it going on, well, then they'll be deceptive and manipulative to that person to move on. Because if you're not building a foundation based on truth and love, why are you in it? And if it's not love, it's not a stable foundation. So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.